Well, welcome everyone. Good morning. Bon dia. I'm Mariona Roca. I'm from the City Council, and I welcome you to this last webinar that we are offering in this framework of Barcelona International Community Day. As you may know, tomorrow is the big day. We will all meet at Maritime Museum from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And well, I hope to see you all there. Today we have a webinar with Cohen Williams, who is a physiotherapist and the founder of Healthcare Barcelona. He will explain us some tips on how to survive physically and mentally after moving to another city, after moving to Barcelona. As you see, this is a meeting where you can all turn on your cameras if you like, but we ask you to turn off your microphones so your sound doesn't interfere in the presentation. Cohen will make his presentation,
because I think it reflects.
And at the end, yes, please mute your microphones, please. And at the end of his presentation, we will have a Q&A moment. Then you can turn off your cameras, turn on your microphones, and ask yourself the questions you have to Cohen. Let me remind you that this session is being recorded, and we will post it on our YouTube channel. So if there is anyone that wouldn't like to be on the network, on YouTube, please keep your camera off. So I won't talk anymore now, and I just will leave you with Cohen, who will explain us how to survive to Barcelona after arrival. Thank you, Cohen. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. It's a bit of a different setting, of course. Normally, over the last 5 years, I've been in Barcelona International Community Day, giving presential meetings and presential talks, which I normally do prefer. But hey, this is how it is at the moment, and I'm very happy that you all join me online on this virtual presentation. And so I chose to have the possibility at the end to ask questions and to have an interactive part. In the beginning, this will not be possible, and I will just share my vision, my philosophy, my theory, a little bit on how to combine the physical and the mental aspects on arrival in Barcelona. This is basically what I do besides physiotherapy. I did psychology. I will explain a little bit later. And I give these kind of presentations to individual people who suffer with energy management, and I also help companies who have international people arriving in the first couple of months to see how they do. And so normally both it's for personal healthcare, I would say, and more company healthcare. So I had to come up with a little bit of a nice title, of course, to catch your attention. So I said, hey, how to survive Barcelona after arrival. This might sound a little bit scary. It's not too bad, of course. But again, it's a little bit on how to give you some pointers, how to give you some idea, just kind of a philosophy, some idea, theory on how to see life, how to see your daily life, how to see your energy, and what you can do about it, both physically and mentally. Yeah, so that's why I called it also the fundamentals of energy management. So I will start with the presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about life events, as we call this. So settling in Barcelona, of course, means a lot of challenges and new changes. New job, new home, meeting new people, discovering the city, a lot of things that really are costing a lot of energy, right? And in psychology, we call this a life event. So a life event is a big event in your life that really costs a lot of adaptation. So the idea of this presentation is to give you a little bit more insight on how to manage and how to tackle these changes, right? So I'm going to give you a very easy very practical approach on energy management, which combines both the physical and the mental fields. Yeah? And of course, the idea therefore is that if you manage this well in the first 6 months, but also in general life, you will be able to have a better energy level and therefore do the things that you like to do and enjoy life more. This, of course, is the big goal. So let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Koen Willems. I'm Dutch born. Barcelona by choice, as they say is nicely here, since 13 years. My wife is Argentinian. That's the main reason why I came to Barcelona. And in the Netherlands, I did physiotherapy, I did psychology and health sciences. Therefore, my specialty is that combination of both physical and mental health. Since I came here, I founded 3 companies: Running Barcelona, which is specialized in running; Physiotherapy Barcelona, which is the physiotherapy branch; and then the Healthcare Barcelona, which is more the overall healthcare with general practitioner inside and nutritionists as well. So that's where we are now at this moment, giving the presentation from our own center. So, what are we going to do? We're going to talk a little bit about this first basic introduction on theory. So, how do I see energy management? I'm going to explain a little bit about what is energy in my opinion and what is load. And then, of course, how this theory affects health. And some practical examples. And then, of course, the Q&A at the end. If you want the presentation, don't worry, you don't have to write everything down. I have a PDF version available as well, and I pass it on to the organization as well, so you can always have the full presentation afterwards. So don't worry if you want to have some context or you want to reread it afterwards. It's possible. The link will be shared afterwards with the presentation on the website as well, but also the full information is available afterwards. Okay, so first the definitions. If I look at the energy and the load, for me, energy is a very practical definition. So energy, I'm not talking about the stars, I'm not talking about the energy lines, I'm talking about all the energy that you have to do the physical and mental activities that you want to do. So basically, this is everything, all the energy that you have inside you. Yeah? And then the load, for me, is all the activities that cost energy. So everything that costs energy, that gives energy loss, is what I call load. So first, you can discuss a lot about these definitions, but just to make it very easy, for now, energy is the energy that you have inside yourself to do physical and mental activities, and the load is everything that takes away that energy. Yeah, just to have a clear idea on this. So I will make it very easy with a very practical example. A phone. Everybody has a mobile phone or even more than one. And basically, what we have in that phone is that on the right top side, there is a little bit of an indication on the battery level. And you have 3 examples here. Basically, you have either this nice battery, which is green, with all the energy inside. Of course, we also have a number that indicates the level, 85%, 90%. And basically, this is what we have in our phone that gives us an idea on how much energy is still in that phone. Yeah, very easy example. We look at it a lot of times during the day, probably not very conscious, but it gives us a lot of information to feel, okay, we can still use this phone for a while. Yeah. So if we look at the load of the phone, so everything that costs energy, everything that takes away energy from this phone, we're basically looking at a lot of different things, right? So of course, we use the phone for calling, we use it for internet, we use it for WhatsApp, we use it for videos. There's a lot of things that we do with this phone that will lower the amount of energy. So that's what I call the load, and everything that costs energy. Yeah. So this is a very easy example in daily life, looking at the phone. So basically, if during the day we use our phone more, we have more things that cost energy, that take away the energy, our battery goes down. And if at the end of the day we don't recharge it, meanwhile, the phone dies, right? So we can't use the phone anymore. This is a very, very easy example on looking at the phone as an example. So if we now look at this in our situation, then we can compare this. So if I now would look at ourselves as human beings as a phone, we also have a lot of energy that we have inside. The only problem is we don't have, not yet, maybe in the next 20 years this might change, or 50 years, but we don't have a little sign saying here 85% of battery still fully available. We do not have this indicator that it goes down. But you can imagine that this is more or less the same. So if we look at the energy that we have inside, you can also look at the load of things that cost energy. And of course, if we look at the activities that we do, we have physical and mental activities during the day that cost a lot of energy, that take away a lot of that energy. So where we had in the phone, we had the calling, the internet, the video, etc. In daily life, human beings, we have work, travel, relationship, family, sports, etc., etc. Yeah. So a lot of combination of physical and mental activities that lower this amount of energy that we have. And that during the day normally makes that we go down on our energy level. So basically, this is what we just talked about. Sorry for the inconvenience in the middle. So basically what we just talked about is that I compared, as an easy example, the phone, the battery of the phone with the battery that we have and the energy that we have, right? So I compared what we do, physical and mental activities that cost energy during the day. So basically, if we look at it in a perfect best situation, then we see that our energy level, so the amount of energy that we have in our system, that we have in this phone, if you compare it to the phone, is obviously higher than everything that costs energy. So if you look at the graphic that I drew, you see that the level of energy, the nice green line, is higher and has some margin compared to the things that cost energy. So the load, again, you will see that within this load, there is a lot of physical and mental different activities like relationship, work, family, sports. Yeah. So ideally, this is a situation where we have more energy than things that cost energy. And that, of course, is the perfect situation. So most important is, how does that make us feel? If we do have this situation, the desired situation, the sensations, of course, are very good. Yeah, means that you want to do things, that your energy level is there to do things, your concentration is good, your humor is good, your patience is good. Normally, if you do sports, if you do physical activities, they go well. And normally also means that we do not have any physical problems. Yeah. So this is when somebody asks you, how are you doing? And you really answer, yeah, I'm doing fine, I'm doing well. Then this is more or less how you should feel. So that means that almost always when I see people that really do well, they do well both physically and mentally. Yeah. If somebody is not doing well, of course, sometimes there is more first issues on the mental part or on the physical part, but a lot of times we see a combination of things. So when I have people that are not doing well, who want to go to bed early because they're tired, that are stressed, normally also means that they have a little bit headache, a little bit issues on the physical side. So this is normally a combination. So this is really good, of course, to feel in your daily life, to kind of feel, okay, how am I doing? Where do I have my signals? Where do I have my feelings? Are they all good, all green? This is, I'm feeling well, I'm wanting to do things, I have good energy, I feel physically well, I'm in good shape, good humor, good patience. Then normally we know that this situation is the correct one that you're having. Yeah? But, of course, what might happen when we lose this perfect situation? There's basically two situations that can occur. So this is the basic first setting again. This is having this load, the red block, and then we have the energy line above. So two things that can happen. First of all, your energy can go down. So if your energy goes down, you will see that it comes below the block of load. What does that mean? We get into an overload situation. Yeah. So that means that your energy is lower than the things that cost energy, and that means that you will end up in an overload situation at the end of the day, and that, of course, is a not desired situation. So how does that make you feel? Yeah. So normally, if we look at the reasons why this energy level goes down, is basically a couple of things. Of course, sleeping, resting is super important to get your energy level up. Eating, having a good food intake, very important. Also, if you have a cold, if you have an illness, if you have the flu, of course, your energy level goes down as well. For women, if you have the period, you normally feel also that your energy level goes down a couple of days. And of course, if you have a sports injury, if you have an injury in general, your energy level goes down as well. Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons why your energy level can go down, which the most important ones normally are the eating, not eating well, not sleeping, not resting well. Those ones are normally the major ones, but also illness, the period, injuries. Yeah. So this is the energy. The second option, of course, is that we go up on our load. So we have extra things coming at us in life that cost more energy, that take more energy out of our system. So in a lot of cases, when people arrive to Barcelona, of course, finding a house is one of the sort of things that you have to do. Some people come with a job, but normally nobody comes with a house already, right? So that first stressor, that first kind of extra activity of finding a house raises your load and might already be enough, in this example, to again get into an overload situation. Yeah. So interesting, of course, is to see that your energy level might have been exactly the same, but your overall load goes up. Yeah. So in this case, you get an overload situation, the same sensations and the same feeling that what happened before when your load stays the same, but your energy level goes down. So it doesn't matter if your energy level goes down or your load goes up, you might get the same overload situation. Of course, if we combine both, it's even more, right? So if we get our energy going down and we get the load going up, of course, it's even more risky. Yeah. So I'll give you some ideas why the load goes up. Of course, like I said, finding a house, but also job issues, maybe a family member being ill or your partner, relationship not going that well, social events that cost a lot of energy. Of course, they could give a lot of energy as well, but normally having late nights, drinking alcohol, normally can cost more energy. More sports. So this is always interesting because people say, yeah, but I'm doing a lot of sports, which is good. Yes, but it also costs energy, right? So preparation for the marathon, for example, I have quite some people now preparing for a marathon in 3 weeks here in Barcelona. Of course, that costs more energy. They notice that they have less energy to spare at the end of the day. Yeah. So these are a couple of ideas, a couple of reasons why the load will go up. So basically, if we look at both and we have this combination, either the energy level goes down or the load goes up, again, or the combination of both could be the same, we get bad sensations. Yeah. How could you feel that you get into that sensation that you don't want to do things? At the end of the evening, when you come back from work, you eat something, you're on the couch, and somebody calls you and you say, hey, there's something nice going on in my street. Do you want to come? You kind of go, no, I just sat down, that's it. You're not willing to do a lot of things. And normally you can notice it in your work, concentration goes down, you don't get things done. You have the feeling that you're not being yourself on work. Humor, patience, ask anyone around you. Normally, they will notice. They will notice that you're not as happy as normal. You're not as patient as normal. We might see that the physical activities go worse. So the training effect gets worse. Even though you try really well, you try hard, but it just doesn't feel right. And of course, at the end, we might actually even get physical complaints. The most interesting thing, of course, is to feel what your first signals are. We all have different signals. So we all have different feelings of overload. So some people might feel it more directly in the mental part. So they might feel, okay, concentration is going down, my humor goes down, I talk less, and I'm more irritated with my kids or with my partner. And other people feel it more in the physical side. So they feel that they really get tired, they have headaches, sore throat, digestive system that doesn't work well, and some skin issues. So sometimes it depends on the person. It comes more physical first or more mental first. But a lot of times it's a combination of both. Yeah. So the consequences of overload over time, of course, are super important. Normally, if we have a busy week, we take the weekend off. Basically, what we do is we try to rest more, we take out some obligational stuff, we do some fun stuff, so we kind of balance out again, and then on Monday, most people feel better than they do on Friday. But if this continues over time, so we're talking 3 months, for example, and you're 3 months already in overload, something very interesting happened. And this, of course, is what you should not get into. But look at the graphic, what happens. If we are in overload, this level of energy is going down. Yeah? An overload situation, an overtraining, an overload in daily life will reduce our energy level. And then after 6 months, of course, we have even more overload if we don't change anything in daily life. And then we go down. And of course, most people after 6 months, 9 months, they go, oof, maybe I should change something. I can't do everything that I'm doing. It's too much. Which of course is a good idea. We have to take off some load. But most of the time, and you see it in this graphic as well, the first thing that goes normally is the things that you do yourself. In this case, sports. But it could be your own time, your social activity with friends. And exactly that normally is the part that gives you more positive energy as well. So most of the time we keep the obligations in. It's not that easy to kick out work. It's not that easy to change partners. It's not that easy to ask your kids just to go for a couple of months. There are a lot of difficulties in the things that are more obligated. So the easiest one to kind of go is your own time, is your own things. But again, this is exactly where we normally get more positive energy from. So normally not the way to go. And as an extra bonus, even though you take something off, the feeling does not change. And which is strange because people say, I don't get it, Koen. I've been doing a lot less than a year ago, than half a year ago. And I still feel tired, and I still feel that I don't have that energy. Sure, because even though you're doing less, what happened over time is that energy level was going down. So even though we take out a big chunk, it's still not enough. And of course, worst case scenario, if this keeps on going, we might end up really at a really low level of activities and still feeling tired. Yeah, which is interesting because I see people with after COVID, having COVID, for example, persistent COVID is a lot of times this kind of similar line. So people started getting into overload, and then after a long period of time, they're not doing almost anything anymore, but they still feel the same, which not only has to do with medical things, but also has to do a lot with energy. Yeah. So I do a lot of energy management with people with chronic pain and chronic problems, including COVID. Yeah. Again, of course, this is what we don't want. So how does that affect you? It might lead on long term to lower effectiveness in work. It might lead that injuries and illnesses do not recover well. So you will have people around you, or maybe yourself, that you know that they say, yeah, I've had this, I don't know, I've had this cold for like a month already, and I'm not getting over it. This is really strange. Or there are things in your mouth with the low defense system. They don't go away. Something is really strange, right? But that might be just an energy issue. Yeah? The effect of training goes down or even turns negative. So people try, but they just don't get any better or even go worse. And of course, normally what you see is that everything around you starts getting more negative, more blurry. Interactions are not that easy. You start, turning into yourself more. Work doesn't go as well, etc., etc. Yeah? So this is like the worst end result after a long period of overload. Yeah. So just an overall summary on this. I believe that energy always is a combination of your body and mind. So you always have to look in health, always look at the full picture. So how am I doing physically? How am I doing mentally? How does this combine? Yeah? Which means that normally, in my opinion, the doctors are not always the right person to go to, because doctors normally tend to be really focused on the physical health. Yeah. And they sometimes make an MRI, or they sometimes do a blood test, and nothing comes out, because energy you can't see on the scan. You can't see this in a blood test. Yeah. Of course, very, very important. There's a nice theory, but of course, the most important thing is to always look at your personal life, your personal differences. So this is normally what I do if I work individually, of course, is to really look at somebody's life and really look where can we improve a little bit. All advices are not always possible. Again, like I said before, you can't. Yeah, if you have kids, you can't ask them to sleep really well. It doesn't work. If they don't sleep well, they don't sleep well. You can't ask your job just to kind of give you less work. Doesn't always work. Time is limited, etc. Right? But look for possibilities. Don't look for things that you can't change. Try to find things that you can change. Sometimes it's 5%. It's just a little bit that is just enough to change that balance. Of course, there are professionals that can help you with this, right? So might be more on the physical side, might be more on the mental side, or people like me or general practitioners that might be able to kind of balance out both, right? And of course, the best, and this is what I of course always hope, is that prevention is always better than cure. So if we don't get into the situation of overload, or when you get into this situation, make it last very short and don't get to the final issues, of course. Yeah. So this is more the overall. So now we're going more to the Barcelona practical example, right? This is, basically why you're here probably for in this presentation. If we look at Barcelona, what is so specific for Barcelona? I'll give you a practical example. This is one of my clients, yeah? A man, 26 years old, English, first time living abroad, had a new job coming in, of course, does not speak Spanish, is coming alone without any social network, does not have a long-term stay yet, so he still has to find a long-term housing, and all the paperwork, especially now with the Brexit, is not done. Yeah, so this is a very easy, practical situation which I encounter, and probably a lot of you are in the same situation or have been in this situation. So if we look at things that cost energy, that take away energy, if we look at the load, in this case, new job, new house, yeah, including new local rules, developing this new social network, so he's homesick, Spanish classes that he wants to attempt to get Spanish, landing issues, again, with all the paperwork and all the things. So these are a lot of extra things that cost energy. Specific for Barcelona, I think the noise is something that a lot of people would not think about when they come, but Barcelona is a noisy city. We have a lot of traffic, we have a lot of scooters that make a lot of noise. It's a 24-hour city, so a lot of times you hear a lot of people on the streets, you hear a lot of neighbors still cooking at 2 at night, which also comes with the Latin culture and with the Spanish culture. That also, of course, is the cultural difference. And a cultural difference you can notice on a lot of things, but culture shock, of course, in the beginning, you have to adapt to this. People talk loud. I had somebody who said, I constantly believe that people are angry because I hear them talk on the phone and I feel that they're constantly arguing with people. But yeah, apparently this is normal. But for me, this is really wow. Or I had an American guy that said, hey, the service is like, is there any service? Because people do not like openly say, hey, how are you? And I feel a bit lonely or not wanted. So that has nothing to do with you, but it is, of course, a cultural difference. Yeah. Then housing issues, like we said, Barcelona is very hard to find a good place at the moment. It's pretty expensive. What you get is not always great. You might hear more neighbors than you're used to. There are issues that you might not have had before. You might have to share a flat with other people. So that's specific, I think, at the moment for Barcelona, an extra negative one. Then the day structure. Day structure, of course, is completely different if you come from, especially from the north. Eating is completely different. The hours are completely different. Working hours are different. Eating at 10 in the evening might be normal here, but in a lot of other countries, of course, this is completely different. So changing structures, changing eating moments, changing hours, going to bed, costs a lot of energy. And then, of course, last but not least, especially for Barcelona, is that the climate is a difficult climate, especially during summer. It's hot, it's humid, and high temperatures and high humidity take out a lot of energy. So you have to drink more, you have to be more aware of this, right? And then, especially the Nordic people, I notice a lot of people coming from Norway, especially in Sweden, that have issues with allergies, that have issues with the breathing, mainly because of the difference in air quality. It's a big city, Barcelona, with humidity, with the heat, a lot of pollen, a lot of allergies come up. So those kind of things are specific for Barcelona. Yeah. Then if we look at energy, of course, sleeping, like we said before, is super important. Having a new house, a new bed, a new room, hearing new noises. We have the garbage trucks outside making noise, and a lot of new things might give you worse sleep. Yeah. Alimentation, yeah, eating. You might completely lose all your structure, all your normal things that you normally do on eating. You have to find new ways, new supermarkets, new restaurants, new way of cooking. In the beginning, of course, less sports. Most people focus on the things that they have to do first, which is work and housing, and they lose a lot of the sports activities. And less positive own time. Not having your own little small place to go, not having your own routine set in, of course, normally gives you less energy as well. Yeah? So those are some examples on the energy. So if we go to solutions, especially in Barcelona, what to keep in mind. Yeah? In general, I always say that your experience is the reality minus your expectations. So if your expectations are super high, this is going to be great, Barcelona is going to be fantastic, it's the best city in the world, I've been there on holiday, it's going to be great. If your expectations are super high, of course, the risk of not having a good experience are a lot higher. So normally go in with expectations, okay, it will take me 6 months, it will take me some time to get everything done. In the beginning, I will be tired. In the beginning, it will be adjusting. Okay, I don't have a lot of expectations. Then reality more or less comes as it comes on that level. And then your experience is more neutral. Yeah. The start, sustainable, very, very important. I see a lot of people go in really full energy, new job. I have to show that I do well. I have to show that I can do this. I'm going to show my best. I work 60 hours a week in the beginning to show that I can do this. I join all networks, I want to do all sports, I want to meet new people. Sure. Big question, is this sustainable? Can I do this over time, or is this just impossible? Yeah. So be aware that if you start something, make sure that you can maintain it over time and that you don't create expectations from your boss or from your colleagues that you work always 60 hours a week. Because then after 3 months, it's hard to go back, yeah, to normal 40 hours because people are getting used to you being there. And of course, professionals. This is it's a country, it's a city where a lot of recommendations will help a lot. So of course, don't try to do everything on your own. Don't try to find everything on your own. Ask your colleagues. Ask people that have been here. Ask internet forums. Of course, International Community Day is a very interesting example. Look for help. Yeah? There are people that can help you with a lot of things. Then easy social networks. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of meetups. There's a lot of sports activities. There's a lot of networking going on in the international community. So of course, they will make your landing a lot easier. Yeah. Priorities, super important, of course. What do I need in life to be happy? Yeah. And what are the first things that I have to get my energy right? And start with that, and then the rest will come later on. Yeah. Safe spots. I always like to have my cafe. I always like to have my restaurant. I always like to have my park where I feel, okay, if I need some space, if I need some tranquility, if I need my coffee moment, if I need my park, I can go there. Yeah. Super important to have those kind of backups if needed. And of course, ask help, like I said before. So specific for Barcelona, I think, and this is my advice, if you come in, go for a temporary stay first. Get an Airbnb, rent something, which is temporary, doesn't matter. And from there, you can walk around, you can discover Barcelona, you can see how the city is, and you make a decision where you want to live. Because it's completely different. Unfortunately, a lot of people end up in Raval, in Barcelona, in Gótico, when they start. Those are not the easiest places to start. They're nice and busy places, very central. But of course, they also take out a lot of energy. It's nothing compared to live there or to live in Poblenou or in an area where it's more quiet about the Diagonal, for example. Yeah. And talk to people, colleagues again, people that know Barcelona, that have been living here. They will understand. If you ask to any Catalan person or any colleague that lives here for a long time, and you say, "Are these people arguing? Are they angry?" And people say, "No, this is just the way people talk." Right? We are allowed. That's how it is. No, don't worry about it. Yeah? That might help. Yeah. And reduce life speed. I think Barcelona is a great place that prioritizes life over work. The rat race that we have in some cities in other countries, in Barcelona, is relatively low. People will get their coffee, will take their time to have a good lunch, they will go to the beach, they will go out in the evening and have a dinner. Try to see if you can adapt to this. Yeah? Try to see if you can get to this new life speed and feel, yeah, that you're in this nice mode. Yeah. Then, of course, if we look at energy, plan your day routine. When do I want to eat? When do I want to do sports? When do I want to stop working, etc. So really try to get your stability in on structure, and make sure that you have backups on food. So if you know that things work for you, if you know that you always like your oatmeal in the morning, buy oatmeal. Don't walk out to a bar and kind of go, "Do you have oatmeal?" No. Okay. Yeah. Get something in there that you know that works for you. That you have some stock, some healthy food in the fridge, that you have some healthy food at home, so that you can always get back to your basics if needed. Start with easy sports. Start with walking. Start with slow running. Just gentle things. Just discover the city, but don't try to go with the hard kind of intensive sports in the beginning. Just take it easy in the beginning on your energy. Positive own time. Cinema is great, listening to music is great, meeting people is nice, but everything that creates positive energy, that really gives you the feeling that you belong in Barcelona, that you're part of this community, and that you have your own positive time. Rest, of course, super important. Might be walking on the beach, might be going to the park, might be going to Costa Rola, might be having this coffee in a nice, relaxed place, might be going to the cinema, might be having a siesta, very Spanish, of course. People do this. And then on the food, I think very especially in summer, make sure that you hydrate enough and that you take some extra vitamins. Very easy. Just take a big bowl of water, take some extra vitamins. In the beginning, the first 6 months, this is key for your body to adapt as well, because you will, especially when you come from the north or a colder climate, you will sweat a lot, and you have to hydrate and get your salts and minerals in. Yeah. So that was basically my story for now. Again, this of course is a short summary. I work a lot with people over time. I work with companies, but this is just kind of everything in a very compact model, but hopefully enough just to give you some idea on how to balance out your life and how to see how it might affect you. If you have any questions more on private level, if you don't want to share with us now, feel free to write me. You can write to info@healthcarebarcelona.com. We have our center close to Padua, in between Padua metro station and the SEPS metro station. And so always welcome to contact me, and always welcome to ask personal questions. If you have more overall questions or things that you want to share right now, feel free. We have, I think, almost 15 minutes to do some Q&As. And of course, tomorrow I will be on the Barcelona International Community Day as well. We have a stand all the way walking through, all the way on the end on the right side next to, I think, room 4 it is, where the presentations are held. So either ask now, later, or tomorrow. Thank you for joining, and feel free to ask your questions.
Glenn, thank you very much for the presentation. As I was following it, I thought some of this advice, that very useful advice, also can apply to the locals, no? Because
absolutely.
the speed of the city, it affects everyone. And yeah, I just wanted to comment that tomorrow we have Barcelona International Community Day, but the City Council has a program to welcome the international talent and the international people who come to live in Barcelona. And we have a website with all kinds of information that can help you settle in to make your landing easier. I will write the address on the chat. And also you can subscribe to our newsletter, because during all the year we are offering many activities, some related to making new friends, making professional contacts, or issues. We tackle issues like formalities or taxes, or all those issues that interest the newcomers to our city.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I don't know if anyone wants to turn on their cameras and ask something, but at the beginning of the session, I can see on the chat that Noah was asking to everyone, what gives you energy since being in Barcelona? If there's anyone that wants to share this with us, what do you do to recover energy in Barcelona? You can turn on your microphones and your cameras if you want, or just your microphones. Anyone?
No one. I can give some of my secrets if you want to. Exactly. So of course for me walking is fantastic, right? So I do a lot of walking. I do a lot of running. At the end, I'm bit by bit moved more out towards the Costa side of the city, mainly because of this, right? So if I want my moment, I walk a lot. I go to the cinema. So the cinema, there's three good cinemas that have original versions. So you all have the original version in English, which is a very great one, because it's normally not costing energy, of course, to sit down and watch a movie. And mentally, of course, it's a different, completely different world where you're in for at least 2 hours. So that's always a nice one. And I have to say that I normally have like 3 or 4 restaurants where I choose from. So I know 3 or 4 restaurants close to my work, and really depending on how I feel, I choose one or the other one. So If I feel that I've been talking a lot with a lot of people and I need some quiet time, I go to one where I know it's more quiet. There's a newspaper I can just read on my own. And then sometimes I go to an Italian restaurant where I know that if I walk in, the Italian owner is always talking and always asking me how I'm doing, which is where I go to when I want to do a little bit more social things. So this is always really nice to kind of have a lot of options around you. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Tang says eating great food.
Oh, absolutely.
Other people also agree that walking is good for recovering the energy. And I think Barcelona is quite a walkable city.
Yes.
It's not too big.
It's relatively small, and I always say to people, I think very important is for a lot of people to feel the difference between neighborhoods, because a lot of neighborhoods, literally 5-10 minutes from each other, give a completely different vibe. Vida Olímpica is completely different than Aborne. Meanwhile, we're literally 5 minutes away. If you go to Gracia, of course, nothing compared Gracia to La Sagrada Familia area or even a bit higher up. So walking around, but not just walking, but also feeling, looking around. Is this something that I like? What do I need? What makes me happy? Because everybody's different. There are people that really need people around to be happy and to be in their element, and other people like more space and more quietness. So yeah, this is something to explore. Yeah.
Yes, Natalie says hiking, kayaking, hanging out with friends, walk by the sea, listen to live music. Yeah, there are many things, no? That which of course is interesting on hanging out with friends. I think we all know that we have friends and people around us that give more energy, and there are people that take more energy. And there are people that are always positive, that always are in for a good laugh and always are in good mood. And we also know that there are people that go in more deep on their feelings and their emotions and complain a bit more. So really, before you meet with somebody, see how you feel, see what you need, see which person is the right person for that moment, and do a little bit more planning even on the social part. Yeah, that's true, says Judith. Yes.
Yeah, some people take out your energy. Yeah, the energy suckers, and some people are energy givers. This is how it is. Yeah. Yeah, but therefore, of course, it depends on what you like. If you want to go for just a beer and a superficial chat, yeah, you probably need somebody else. That if you want to share your deep emotions, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions or comments or ways to recover energy? Yeah. Well, you know that you can find Cohen, as he said, tomorrow at Maritime Museum.
Yeah.
And you will also find many other companies exhibiting and showcasing their services for expats. Yeah. So there you can ask for more information about the things you need when you arrive in Barcelona.
Yeah, and I think to add one thing, of course, the first stage of culture shock, if people are very interested in this, there's a very nice graphics on the faces of culture shock. So if you go into a new culture, you will always have this first boom of energy of thinking that everything is great and everything is wow and new things and fantastic. But automatically the second phase always is lower energy. And then you need to adapt to find your basis, right? So the sustainable lifestyle. So this is, everybody has this, and everybody will go through these phases. So don't worry if you feel lonely. Don't worry if you feel a little bit lost, low on energy after a couple of months. This is normal. This normally does not happen in the beginning, because in the beginning we have the thrill of everything new and exciting and new food and new people and everything. But again, reality of course kicks in as well after a couple of months, and this is, I think, the most important to understand how, if I want to stay here for a longer period of time, how can I adapt that I can really sustainably live and enjoy Barcelona to the fullest.
Yes, I think you are so right, and that is why this presentation was so interesting and useful. No, that say, okay, this doesn't only happen to me. This is normal. No,
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and of course this goes from relatively easy small things like we talked about today, from arriving to Barcelona, but also people that really do a poor job on balancing life with work or life with in general. And ending up with burnout syndrome and really low energy levels. And so again, yeah, you can start unfortunately from very low after a very long period of time of overload, but means that it's still possible to get back on your feet if you know what to do. But ideally, of course, yeah, make sure you never get into this long period of overload. This, of course, is the best. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So if there are no more questions, I think we can close the session here, if you agree, Cohen.
Yeah.
And well, just let's thank you for the great presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us. And well, I hope we all see you tomorrow at Museu Marítim, and follow us on the website, subscribe to our newsletter, and you can participate in the activities that we will be offering after International Community Day.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and again, same for me. So again, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. If you feel this might be interesting for you or some friends or even your company, feel free to contact me. Because always happy to give more insights.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, see you.
Bye bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.